Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, which is the name of this game. Every time I get one of those comments that's like, what is this game called? I feel like I ought to reiterate that this is a game that's called Beyond All Reason, where today we're going to be taking a look at one of my up-and-coming new favorite maps. It's a map with a ton of Duracell-powered crystals. It's going to be none other than Salt Reef. Salt Reef is a big, open 8v8 map, and it's got plenty of metal and plenty of space for commanders to show us what they've got. Commanders like, of course, our red team leader. Today, spawning on the southern side here as a red Cortex commander, it's going to be Das Void, coming in at 33.78 open skill here, 34 rounded up. Going to be playing as the air commander here for the red team. Always interesting. Whenever I see the red or blue commander in the air spot, it always makes me a little bit curious. You know, maybe there's some sort of cheeky strategy here, and so doubling down on that effect, we have Archie spotting as the blue team leader and also spawning here in the air position. So we've got a mirror matchup as far as the team leads go. Interestingly, we've also got relatively similar matchups as far as the secondaries go as well. Aikatsu coming in at 28 open skill and going to be playing right in front of the blue commander, whereas it looks like Akwati, the yellow commander here, is going to be playing just in front of the red commander, but a little bit northernwards. Bobblerman going to be the direct mirror here against what would be the green commander. And I think we ought to take a look at this map, shall we? There's a bigger version of this map called like Mega Salt Reef or Super Salt Reef or something like that I love to play on the live streams, 12 to 4 PDT, Saturdays only. More than welcome to stop by and hang out. It's gigantic, but this one is a little bit more tempered, a little bit better to parse, I would say. Certainly a little bit better for when you have, oh, I don't know, 8 players versus 40 players, which is what that other map was intended for. Definitely a little bit more nuance in this one, not so much build mechs, build T3, win game. As we do have some of those good old-fashioned T1 units headed out on the field. A couple of these early grunts going to be headed across the map right here from the orange commander. Looks like we do have a rascal headed over, a rover, pardon me, headed on over. A red rover headed on over towards Aquati's base. It will be intercepted, though, by the grunt, which will make short work of it, nicely cleaning up that purple aggression. Now we've got the, whoa, green forces here. Forgot it was in that menu mode. The green force is going to be pushing forward, well, running forward, really. Not much of a push, more of a sprint here to try and get past the defensive line and into the back line. Ultimately, it'll be 2 of these ticks that manage to make it through, and Bobblerman's commander is in position. Nice movement right there, keeping that commander on the fringe so that it's able to defend against these ticks. They won't be able to do much damage to the orange commander today. Pink commander, however, looking quite susceptible. Randy Slay gonna find a couple of those ticks harassing down that resbot. That sucks. That's 110 metal down the drain, and of course 130 metal down the drain actually, and of course also a significant source of energy right here. It's about 50 energy per second that those resbots pull out of the Duracell battery crystals. I gotta stop saying that, or else Duracell's gonna come after me. Duracell, if you're listening to this, I would love to partner with you. The Brightworks brought to you by Duracell. Long lasting, just like your games may be as well. I'd be down for a Duracell partnership. That'd be pretty awesome. Nice snipe right here from the Maroon Commander. Anti-Guardian manages to use those ticks to snipe a mechs here off of Archie. And that's actually really annoying for Archie to deal with because, of course, this is the core air commander, so there's not really a lot of options to clean this up. Eventually, it looks like the Powder Blue Commander Bloods will move in to clean up those ticks before they can kill much else. Very, very close call, though. That wind turbine almost going down. Shuriken, reactionary Shuriken here coming out for Archie, but it is a little too late to save the mechs, but otherwise, this front line is out. Now, this is quite nice. Loads of damage in the back line right now. Metal Extractor goes down, and a solar panel in trouble here as well. Looks like Aquatic gets 3 of these grunts into the back line right now of Salosin, the Cyan commander. LLT is up to clean up the rest of this here. But these grunts definitely got their value. Yep. Managed to take those mexes and the solar panels down. Those solars are obviously extremely annoying to have to rebuild. I wouldn't mind seeing even a resbot sent back. We do actually have the resbot and some wind turbines up as well, so resing these solar panels wouldn't be the worst idea, just so you don't lose out on that like 60 or so metal that you do when it goes from a fully functioning unit to a wreckage right there on the front lines. More units moving up in the back line, and we have loads of Shuriken out from both core commanders. It's not really anything special, not something that I would not expect out of a core commander. Those Shuriken are basically the perfect reactionary force, but we do have a little bit of an incursion over on this side. Looks like the blue commander is looking to scuffle in the air. Ooh, fighter does go down before it shoots down the scout, so that's quite nice. That scouting plane going to be instrumental early on for any kind of bombing runs. We do have a nice little bit of vision from those ticks earlier on in the game, but not enough vision, I would say, to comfortably deal a good amount of damage using bombers, for instance. You really want to know where those wind turbines are located before you go in for the bombing run. Otherwise, you're kind of firing blind, and that's never really a good situation for bombing. It really relies on intel. Medium tank's doing a decent bit of damage here, pop some of those wind turbines, but eventually cleaned up, well, at the very least paralyzed by the shuriken, going to be eventually shut down by a bunch of blitzes headed back for the defense. Blitzes with their little change to allow them to sort of kind of shoot past each other. You can see this one excellently shooting his brother in the back. Yeah, maybe blitzes need a little bit more pass through. They're prone to self-injury with their twin Gauss cannons. I think it's because they aim from the center of their head, but they fire from, you know, both of those cannons on the side of their head. Either way, those poor blitzes losing a bunch of health here to paralyzed units is pretty funny. But alright, Bobblerman, let's see what you got. Aikatsu does have a couple of LLTs here to try and defend. Bobblerman's comm is actually walking directly into them. Well, it makes me a little bit nervous, I won't lie. Aikatsu fully surrounded, but has the units coming up from the backline here to help out with this. And of course, once all that's deflected, the entire army is gone. And now is the time for Aikatsu to get a beautiful counterattack. A couple of rocket bots can be used here to pressure this commander back. And we also have the pawns to apply some pressure. This is obviously quite difficult to do when you're just playing this on the front line with limited information, knowing exactly how much is there. But I think it's time we go. Yeah, I think we can start to harass this commander down. Obviously, difficult as well to tell how much HP an enemy commander has. Enemy commanders don't actually have an HP bar. They just only have the sort of damage building up on the side of their bodies there. Yeah, Rocketeers here from Bomberman gonna come out here. I like the dancing from the orange commander. Will manage to escape with very minimal damage taken, aside from what was put on by those LLTs. Now with the rocket bots going up against each other, it's going to kind of come down to the micro here, just who can target down more of these rocket bots. Commander explosion off in the backline, by the way, just a commander going down. Here for the reclaim. Going to be going for that good old-fashioned T2 lab, actually almost blowing up that T2 lab. Got to be careful about that. You can check how explosive a unit is by holding spacebar and X at the same time. Your keys may differ than mine, but there is a key combo that allows you to see the explosive radius. The outer explosion is the self-destruct radius, and the inner explosion is just the death radius. A little bit of thievery going on right here, as it looks like Bobblerman accidentally steals some of the metal. So Randy doesn't panic, doesn't worry about it, just says, okay, well, if you've eaten up my metal, I may as well eat up yours. Is this a fair trade? Tell me down below in the comment section. Oh, he gets away with it. He gets away with it. A thief in the night will manage to escape here. Yeah, poor pink commander. Bunch of unclaimed metal extractors here actually selecting is a little bit weird. These untapped mechs probably would have belonged to either Bobblerman or the maroon commander here. Instead, it's going to be Dazvoid, the aircom, that actually manages to get in there and start building on top of those with those very mobile air commanders, or air constructors. Air commanders, boy, that would be terrifying. A flying commander that can throw D-guns down from the sky. Yeah, no thank you. Commanders and heavy transports is bad enough. I don't think I want to see what a flying commander looks like. I like the micro here a lot better from the orange commander, and obviously also just a way, way bigger unit count here. Enough that we've hit that snowballing moment where suddenly we can start to kill entire Rocketeers, which is a single volley from the aggravators. It's a really important moment because as soon as you hit those numbers, you can start to break down your enemy's composition super quickly, and they have to resort to sneakier strategies. Can't take the direct fight. They have to go for things like pawn rushes, a big old swarm, something like that. But honestly, this is so far behind right here for Aikatsu, losing a bunch of these units and not having the Resbot to reclaim any of this. Suddenly, this is a dominative position right here. Dominative position for the orange commander. Yellow and tan doing nicely on this northern side. We do have that good old-fashioned lasher ball built up over here. A strategy that I will admit I'm not fond of. The lasher ball is so unwieldy to use. It feels really, really difficult to get these into position and use them properly. But if you do manage to get them to connect in any decent kind of way, then eventually they can start to work nicely. I think you have to really be careful about select target firing. Select target tiring. That's what I was about to say as I combined all those words together. It's been a long day, ladies and gentlemen. Big old trade on this northern side. Looks like the two comms are going to walk right into each other. The hug of death as the cyan and tan commander will trade out quite nicely right there, both of which pinging the corpses and trying to get their teammates to go save the day. Aquati going to answer the call to duty, and Beyond H going to ignore it. Thug out here to contest, but obviously superior forces here for the yellow commander mean that this is going to be an easy wreckage to mop right up. Yep, Resbot's making very short work of that commander corpse. Fighters even clashing over this wreckage right here, but it'll be the blue commander that comes out on top handily. There we go. Corpse is completely eaten up. Exactly 2,000-ish metal sent back. What is it? 1.25, 2,500 metal. Sent right on back to the yellow commander, who does have a M store up, so we'll be able to hold on to all of it. It's at this point that I like to see a bunch of advanced solars thrown down. You can get into that T2, but if you don't have the energy economy for it, it can be a little bit risky. The wind energy is phenomenal here, though, so I guess it's not the end of the world. So yeah, maybe Aquatic could just leap directly into that T2 here. I wonder if that's the plan. Yeah, gonna go for a little more build power, but then eventually definitely making their way into that good old-fashioned T2. Gigantic army on the southern side here, by the way. What on earth? What a beautiful static defense we've got set up from Bloods. Unfortunately, going to be essentially ineffective against most of these units here. These aggravators will tear down these LLT with basically no issue. Even the thugs could make pretty short work of them. But I will give credit where credit is due. It looks beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say, that wall looks really, really nice. I love it. Anyway, an actual battle going on. Bobblermain continuing to push forward. The red team looking basically unstoppable at this point. You can see across the board an advantage, save for the metal department, which I believe is only from a little bit of reclaim that's going down all over the place here. But as that reclaim dries out, you can see that advantage shifts. Gosh, that's annoying. Hold on. There's a way to change that. I'll change it later. I won't make you watch me play with my settings, but there is a way to change that. Anyways, it's a red advantage except for when reclaiming, and so that's, I mean, not the end of the world, of course, but it is going to be a little bit of an advantage that adds up, right? Over time. Missilebot's firing away here, but without those shell shockers, without those, what are they called? Wolverines. You're not going to be able to outrange that HLT, so this HLT actually, despite being against vehicles, still finds some serious value. It's rare. It's rare that an HLT against a big vehicle army can really find the value like that, but in this certain circumstance, it certainly has. Aikatsu in a load of trouble here. Aggravators pushing for the kill. Yeah, they want that commander, and they want it badly. Blitz is getting into the mix here and making this very awkward to push forward, but there's so many units right here. Yeah, Bobblermain can afford to be inefficient about this fight. Looks like actually the green commander Bong Closet is out of energy, and so the HLT can't even fire at full speed here. If it could, it would be a huge help in the defense right now, but yeah, I think Bobblermain sniffs out that that's actually not firing as quickly as it could. And there we go, aggravators start firing away. Sure, it can definitely be very annoying to deal with. Not the end of the world, though, I will say. HLT goes down. The army composition still looking quite nice. Aikatsu coming in for the D-gun. Beautiful D-gun. Cleaves apart the entire army in orange right there, shutting down all the pushing power. But already the damage is done. I will say this front line has now been torn asunder, and there's really not anything else that can be done to save it. Another HLT is available, so that's quite nice for shutting down some of this T1 spam. Aikatsu forced to cloak here as Bobblermain continues the walk of terror. HLT, though, very dangerous. I mean, that commander has to get out of there. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, very dangerous. Especially with a little bit of flanking damage thrown on top. Bobblermain actually in a lot of trouble here. About 2% damage from every one of those plasma shots. He's on 0% HP. He's clinging to dear life with 0% HP. These maces want the kill. They can smell blood in the water. Oh, come on. Will they get it? Oh, the last shot misses just barely as Bobblerman manages to escape. There is a gunslinger out, though. Gunslinger good enough? I'm not so sure. One gunslinger does not a frontline make. You need quite a few of them to be effective against T1. You need even more than that to be effective against T2. Rocket Spider is going to be quite nice, of course, but only against the static targets. Even the gunslinger struggling against these grunts. And you can imagine a unit like the Rocket Spider is going to have an even worse time. Shows just how powerful that regeneration on the commanders is as well. Already back up to 7 HP. Small portion, in part due to the red spots right here, helping repair, but definitely a lot of that goes credit well to the natural regenerative biosteel of the commander. We've got one of these units moving forward. Ooh, he hides it. Yeah, he manages to hide it. No radar over here, so that commander is not going to be detectable. Going up to hold the front line over here. It looks like we do have a bunch of thug. Well, we have a bunch of single thug holding the line against a bunch of medium tank and Janus. It'll go down, no doubt. And the tank commander is now ready for the push. Showcasing exactly how powerful those higher artillery vehicles can be. Raining devastation down on top of the Cyan commander, and now with those T2 mechs coming up, but not anywhere near enough units coming up on the backline, these tanks are going to do a ton of damage. At least they should. Firing away at the wind turbines now of the Cyan commander. Going to lose a constructor as well as a bunch of grouped together wind turbines over here. Just target fire. Janus missiles, quite powerful. Yeah, wind turbine's going to chain react Like a beautiful fuse, like Christmas lights blowing out one after another. Pop, 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 those wind turbines go down. Opens up room, at least for the HLT to start working. That's quite nice. It's a very dirty silver lining on top of everything else, but it was nice while it managed to kill 3 of those tanks. Meanwhile, Rocket Spiders and Hounds have managed to clear out a big portion of this midsection, but really it's just been ground that's been given up in order for the Orange Commander to step into T2 on their own. Now with Shuriken in the air, it's going to be very easy for these Sheldon to fire away here in a lot of these units, as they're paralyzed, and of course the Shuriken get plenty of vision as well, relaying back where those units' positions are after they paralyze them. Shuriken not great against spiders, but they can do the job. 1 on 5, they'll do plenty. Sheldon getting insane value at this point. I see a spy bot. When I see spy bots, my head only goes to one place. Particularly spy bots going about looking for nukes. What a beautiful scout here as well, though. Taking a tour of the backline and, yeah, showing off exactly what the enemy has, which is always super important, right? If you use this spy bot to detect a nuke, you've effectively saved your entire team. You are the hero of the village. Push up here, eventually cleaned up, by the way. A bunch of T1 units forced out from the Purple Commander and the Lavender Commander, also inheriting a bunch of those, I do believe. And now trying to rebuild the base, but definitely going to be stuck for a good long while. With those T2 coming out as well, it's going to be pretty difficult to push forward here. Gauntlet does outrange the Sheldon, so it's not like we don't have an answer to these Sheldon, but we really, more importantly than that, don't have vision of these Sheldon. And that's the more important thing. Gauntlet does go down. Commander continuing to step forward here. 1,500 metal, ripe for the reclaim here. A large part of that, though, going to be the Gauntlet, of course, as those Sheldon continue to fire away. One thing that Sheldon desperately need, though, is a bunch of vision in front of them, so whether you're spamming grunts, ticks, pawns, rascals, rovers, anything like that, it's going to be important that you keep something in front to give them clear line of sight. Otherwise, they're sort of just going to fire into the fog of war and miss most of their shots. It's time to go. I'm devastated to say that this front line was never pushed right here. Bloods never really got us a chance to show off this beautiful work of engineering. How unfortunate as we go into now 3,500 metal worth of T1 Rocketeers. Already well into T2, and we are spending that 4x metal income on 4x the T1 units. I'm not going to be the one to sit here and tell you not to enjoy your power fantasy, building about 1 billion units and putting them on the field, but consider for just a moment that there are other options, like Tech 2. Jerky Gaming. Spending that T2 economy and a whole bunch of T1 solar panels is pretty... We're going in interesting directions as far as the spending goes this game, is all I'm trying to say. Sheldon, like I said before, firing kind of off into the dark, not really hitting very much without proper scouting. You can see they'll take a lot of pot shots, but ultimately they're going to hit maybe 1 in 10 shots. If you have 10 Sheldon, I mean, it gives you a pretty consistent trade, but not enough that I would call it efficient, or time efficient anyways. All this does take time. The more time you spend letting your opponents rebuild, the more and more opportunities there are for them to build things that can help them come back into the game. Shuriken Swarm coming up right here for the Blue Commander. Being sure to keep a bunch of those Shuriken in the air. It looks like, well, right now, let's see how many do we have. Take all those and discount any on the red side. Looks like we have a grand total of 12. Not really enough to stop, for instance, like a T3 unit or anything like that. Certainly enough, though, to shut down any of these T2 compositions. The problem is you really only get 1. The other problem is, of course, you need units to go actually kill the units, and with, well, all of the thugs now dead right here on the front line, there's not really much left to go out and kill any of these units, even if they were paralyzed. Scouting plane is here, providing a lot of vision. Ooh, I like that scouting plane. Yeah, look at that. Anti-air will eventually shoot it down, but while it was up, providing a bunch of vision here, and now we have grunts to do the same thing. Bombing run coming in, though, to seal the deal. What a beautiful carpet bombing right there, as these pink bombers do jump on top of the base right here. Ooh, a little bit overshooting the fusion reactor right there, but do jump on top of the base of the Cyan Commander, making sure to keep the Cyan hero, Silasan here, kicked down. Don't let him rebuild. The Hot Pink Commander. Exacerbated about the failure of that bombing run. I would say probably not as effective as it could have been, but still not ultimately a total failure. Shuriken here, one of the few things capable of chasing down sprinters. And doing a pretty good job of paralyzing them, too. The answer is always what's going to deal with these sprinters after the fact. You have to use them to get other units into position to kill them, and then we don't really have those other units at the moment. Aquati trying desperately to push forward here. We have more and more T1 going down, and as these Sheldon Bulls get bigger and bigger, don't clip that, the efficiency trades out a whole lot better, obviously. Takes them less time to blast down the T1, means that they're not stalled out on different parts of the map as much, and once that critical snowball is hit, then they can just kind of roll through anything. Even T3 starts to really struggle against the biggest of Sheldon Balls. Don't clip that. Beyond H in a bunch of trouble here, too. That commander is detected by mobile radar, and so we sniff that there's something over here in the fog of war. In fact, we know it's a commander at this point. So those Sheldon are firing away. I would love to see these grunts moving forward to, at the very least, try and sweep for a commander. Looks like they'll find him. Commander is revealed, and the Sheldon are going to take 2 or 3 volleys. Just a single volley here to blast down the purple commander. My goodness. At this point, we are up to almost 8,000 metal. Yeah, probably if we include all of these. About 8,000 metal worth of Sheldon here. 9,000 metal worth of Sheldon. Firing off into the distance, doing a huge amount of damage. We have a little bit of a spider push, actually. Ooh, I like it. Aikatsu paying attention and using the map to their advantage, getting some spiders up on this high ground. There's not anything to contest these, so these actually have a clean walk almost directly into the backline here. Obviously, it's going to be pretty easy to get defensive units into position to stop these once they get over the hill, but at least contesting this hill, denying these metal extractors and shutting down that air opens up opportunity paths, and that's the kind of way that you call yourself back into a game like this. Were anti-air included in this composition? I don't think so. There's certainly not enough shuriken to paralyze all this, and there's not enough units to kill all of it, even if it was all paralyzed. Calling for the air player despite a gigantic swarm of fighters overhead. If there's this many fighters overhead your army, you have to build ground-based anti-air. That's sort of definitive. In this case, lucking out because there's two, count them, two T2 air players in the match right now. Plenty of swarm to take out all the fighters right now, but in most situations, at least if it's an even air game, yeah, I definitely recommend investing in a good old-fashioned T1 anti-air bots. Fatboy doing some good work here. Doesn't one-shot the Sheldon, though, which is a big bummer. Agitator is up and running as well, firing away into the distance now, trying to anyways, that radar jammer. Making it quite difficult, but the Fatboy here also making it a little bit annoying to hold this. Down goes the yellow commander right there, sniped by T1 thugs of all things. Gunship's gonna clean up a bunch of these spiders. Oh, 1 second. Sorry about that. Where were we? Gunships appear to have done nicely to clear up all the spiders up here on the high ground right here. We had some defensive hounds to help with that nice defensive play right there, but looks like those gunships will clean this up. And now there's a gigantic force mounting on this northern side. I mean, these Sheldon have been here harassing down these T1 for a good long while. The longer we see the T1 trade against the T2, the less and less I like this. Bunch of tiger tanks just full-on rushing forwards here into the fray. Welders, I mean, gonna do a good job of cleaning those up. Welders do a decent amount of damage. They're more of an AoE unit, but they have enough HP they can kind of go toe-to-toe against, excuse me, some of those medium tanks there. Medium to heavy tanks. Actually, it was just all heavy tanks, huh? Medium tanks for the green commander, heavy tanks for the orange commander. AA cannon firing away into the air at whatever it can as well. I think ultimately the decision here is going to come down to the blue team for a game-winning play. Fusion reactors are up and running, but no bombers are in the air either. It's all the blue commander can do to keep some of these fighters out of the air, but obviously going 2 versus 1 makes this a pretty tricky situation here. The yellow comm goes down, and the Twitcher is here to reclaim it. I was loving the commander goes down on the front line, and then suddenly you're like, well, you're more useful to me as a T2 unit nowadays anyway. Yeah, that Fatboy's still being a threat on that high ground here. Obviously not the fastest firing, most dangerous unit of all time, but 1 or 2 good connections against the Sheldon Ball can start to be really, really lethal, and so we have to avoid that at all costs here if we're the yellow commander. Red commander equaling up quite nicely, as well as getting a couple of pinpointer. Hey, I love to see it. Pinpointer are one of those things that I feel like we very rarely do see in these games. But for things like Sheldon, Sharpshooters, Starlights, I think Armada more generally, but some Cortex cases too, those pinpointers can be super, super useful. Ah. The nuclear strategy has been begotten. Does look like the tank commander here is looking to go thermonuclear. If we take a big zoom out on the map right here, you can see a central cluster of bases are protected by anti-nuke, but notably here, the powder blue, dark green, lime green, and cyan bases, as well as the purple base, are all exposed. So really here what we have is the lavender base and the seafoam green base are both looking quite nice. One of those Terminator tanks heading out here. The Thor, oh, is canceled. Apparently going to opt for a different strategy here, not going for the Thor, instead going to go for... I'm expecting another T3 unit, but I don't see one quite yet. Not going to go for anything. Okay. Thinking about expanding the build power here, potentially. I love the value this Fat Boy has gotten. Oftentimes when Fat Boys go up against Sheldon, it can be really, really annoying because Sheldon can kill Fat Boys relatively easily. We've got a second one, a third one, a fourth one on the field here. One of them being massaged back to health right now. But yeah, this is suddenly becoming a little bit more scary to push into. I think it's 2 shots from a Fat Boy to kill these Sheldon. As you can see, 1 shot brings them down pretty low, and the second shot, of course, finishes them. And with how gigantic... Whoa, killer bombing run right there. It takes out all the beautiful static defenses. No! Bloods loses that beautiful piece of static defense, proclaiming into the chat how unfortunately lost their side is now, as the Spybot has revealed everything on the backside. Fighters sweeping away all of the T1 here as the T2 bombers come in to finish the job. Bombs away here, eventually fighters shooting those out of the air quite nicely. A secondary round of bombers heading over towards the green facility here. Bombs deploy, not quite enough to kill that laboratory though, luckily. But this southern side is definitely in a whole bunch of trouble. All of a sudden, this entire southern side is opened up. Bloods' line is in danger. Only the commander stands against this army that is moving forward. Well, the commander and a whole bunch of rocket spiders. Actually, a gigantic swarm of rocket spiders here. Okay. I don't mind it. They're up on the hill, so they're actually kind of difficult to deal with. Yeah, firing down the side of that mountain, doing a bunch of damage. Yeah, who says spiders can't be effective into the late game? Commander goes down, actually taking out a huge portion of that army as well. I like it a lot. Despite the static defenses falling here, I love that the Powder Blue Commander has not given up all hope. Still maintaining some kind of presence in this game here. The little rocket spiders that could. Firing away their awesome little volley of 3 missiles. Bunch of spiders here for the Orange Commander as well, the termites. Slightly tankier, actually quite a bit tankier, and with their little heat ray antennae. Anti-air available at this point, starting to shoot down some of these fighters. Yeah, I don't like putting those fighters over on top of all of this. Blue Commander can barely afford to keep those fighters in the air as is. Throwing those fighters away, even just a few of them, feels really, really bad. Eco is still quite nice right here, I will say. I mean, we've essentially gone as greed as possible here to try and keep into this game. The Seafoam Green Commander are going to pump out a Terminator. If we get this tournament onto that southern side, I think there's a possibility here. Nuke almost charged, but not quite ready. One Terminator is already out on the field. Did we fire the EMP missile? Oh, we need to launch the missile. The Terminator taking so much damage. By hitting D on the Terminator tank, you can queue up the missile program. Allows you to launch a Starburst EMP missile out and away into the distance here. Far and away outranging most other units, and it will allow you to shut down, for instance, big retreating balls of Sheldon. You can store up to 2 of them per Terminator tank. They can mean all the world of a difference in an engagement, especially doing the static defenses as well. Obviously, paralyzing them being the easiest way of turning a static defense into a pile of metal, ripe for destruction. Persecutor cannon up on the high ground. Very annoying to deal with, but definitely not impossible to shut down. Still loads and loads of spiders available here. Gunslinger. Alright. Hero Gunslinger trying its very best. Actually out healing the LLTs right here. Getting a little bit of XP under its belt. Practicing its gunslinging. I like to see it. Ah, man. Terminator tank not using its missiles is such a bummer. It really is one of the biggest advantages of building this unit, just period. Boom goes the purple base as the entire thing is wiped off the map by that gigantic apocalyptic Cortex nuclear weapon. Warhead collides directly into Beyond Age's main production facility, sending the purple commander back from whence they came. Where has our Terminator ended up at? Oh, there we go. It is retreating from the front lines here. A second one is on the way, but there's also a big old push in the midsection here. We do have T3 rolling out of the lab just barely in time. Marauder going to start firing away at a bunch of these Tiger tanks. Rocket Spiders also in such volume, such multitudes. They will eventually clean this up, I do believe. Loads of build power goes down right there. Chain reacting. And eventually, all of those are cleaned up here. Thor having a grand old time blasting away these heat ray spiders. Thors have a nasty habit of targeting, and a lot of other AoE weapons have a nasty habit of targeting the units on the fringes, rather than, pardon me, rather than targeting the units in the center where their AoE takes the most effect. Not the biggest deal ever, but it certainly would be nice if their targeting was a little bit smarter about that. Killer bombing right here just barely doesn't manage to take out the T3 lab right now for the green commander. Also misses the fusion reactors of both of these commanders. Gunships, though, on the southern side, taking care of this gigantic wind turbine farm. A not entirely unsubstantial part of the energy economy here for the green and, well, basically the entire blue team. Gunships flying in to try and attack this base, but there are flak turrets in doubles. With their dying breath managing to take out some of that build power, but now we've got chainsaws to rip apart those air units. This northern line is falling. Sharpshooters trying their best, but there's very low energy now for Beyond H as he's lost the entire production. I'd love to see some of this energy shared right here as the purple commander tries desperately to get these units back into position. Sharpshooters firing away, and it is quite nice, but there's just so many of them, and there's so many of these Sheldon up and running already. Spybot does connect. Another one might be able to connect with those Sheldon, and it could make the difference here. Thors, again, without their targeting. Yikes. Oh, no. Beautiful oh, well, a little bit of a wasted D-gun there, but Aquati manages to D-gun down both Thors. No EMP missiles launched. What a waste of those very, very precious units. Titans coming up to the battlefield. No micro required, so maybe a better fate right here. We do have Bubbler Man ready to intercept already, though. Yeah, this is a mistake that we see a lot of players newer to the game making, is throwing away these T3 units by just accidentally moving them too close to a commander and letting them get D-gunned. This commander will escape for the most part. Taking a big hit from the missile and the pulsar cannon and all the rest of it here. But Akatsu's team does call the resign vote. Spybot instrumental in spying on all of these bases right here, revealing all the anti-nukes and all the other facilities that are keeping all of this around. We have those rocket spiders again. This is ideal for the rocket spiders, firing into a big crowd of tanks like this, big bundle of tanks. Sharpshooters trying in mass as well here, but the tanks actually are pretty happy about this engagement, where they get to jump on top of all this very sensitive, very long-range T2 units. And despite a lot of it being damaged, most of it being cleaned up, I think eventually this win does go here to the brown commander, Endo X, or X-Endo X, something to that effect. Commander eventually brought low by a couple of follow-up Marauder pumped out here by the green commander, who did get the build power up and running once more, and is going to continue aggressing with some of those T3 units. A couple of res bots thrown into the mix, though, can really make the difference, reclaiming a whole bunch of this and allowing you to push forward a little bit easier, but it looks like the blue team has been defeated on morale as the nuclear launcher takes out a couple of those bases, the tanks roll forward, the bombers collide, and the T3 get de-gunned to oblivion. It'll be our red heroes with overwhelming aggression throughout the entirety of this game, putting up a lot of pressure in the early game and then maintaining that pressure throughout the late game that managed to claim the victory. Thanks a ton for watching, and if you did enjoy, please, of course, feel free to subscribe to the Brightworks and join the Brightworks community. It's also a Discord, which is always linked down below, which you're more than welcome to join in case you're feeling like getting a little bit of extra value out of your Brightworks subscription. Have a wonderful rest of your day, though, and I hope to see you in the very next cast of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.